How many of you have pets at home? Pets at home. Right. How many of you have a dog or dogs at home? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you have cats at home? All right, that's what I was expecting maybe. What is this? I know you're either, anybody have both dogs and cats? Interesting. So it's unusual, by the way, to have both in a home. You've seen, you are an outlier here, but it's okay. Right? But what is those of you who have a cat, why do you have a cat? What is it about cats that are endearing? Anybody? Yes, young lady here. They're not what? So, it's well said about cats, and cats are, by the way, they're small. You take care of them. They don't have to. You don't worry as much. They can make as much problems around the house, right? There's lots of issues. Those of you who are a dog person and would never think about having a cat, why do you have a dog? What is it about dogs? I saw your 3 dogs just the other day. I know that. Okay, go ahead. So they're very friendly, right? And by the way, if you don't know this, in life, they've actually talked about personalities of people as being cats or dog people. Right? Are you a dog person or a cat person? Cat, you tend to have to, you're a cat person. As a cat, right, is somebody you usually have to approach to give affection. Right? They're not extrovert in that sense. They're going to wait for you usually. And then when you do, once you give them the affection, they will respond, and then you hear them. But dogs are just like they're just all over the place. Right? They beckon for that affection. So how many of you have something different than a dog or cat as a pet? Right? What do you have? A bird. Right? And how's that go with that bird? You love birds. Does your bird talk? You don't know what he's saying. So it's like an 18-month-old child, basically, right? They talk, and you're just not quite sure what they're saying. The idea is, so do you believe in general that these animals have emotions, they feel things? Yeah. The question is, did they always believe that people had, that animals had emotions or not? I want to have you look with me a section of the Torah, which is often confusing to people. If you'll open up to page 1116, and this is in our portion of Ki Teitzei, verse 6 on the right-hand side, about the middle of the page. If along the road you chance upon a bird's nest in any tree or on the ground with fledglings or eggs, and the mother sitting over the fledglings or the eggs, do not take the mother together with the young. Let the mother go, take only the young, in order that you may fare well and have a long life. So what is this? If you come upon a nest and you want the baby birds or you want the eggs that are there, you can't take the mother and the fledgling or the egg. You have to shoo the mother bird away. Now the question is, why do you have this law? So you might think that, well, the mother has emotions. They take away the fledgling or eggs and the mother bird watching. Like, how do you do that to an animal? And the question the rabbis ask is, what's the motivation of this prayer, of this law? And there's 2 great rabbis of the Middle Ages, Rambam Maimonides and Ramban Nachmanides, who's a generation later. And it's interesting, they disagree about the motivation of this prayer. Ramban says it has nothing to do with how we feel, like animals feeling anything. Why do we have this law? It's to inculcate, it's to create ethics and compassion in human beings. By the way, there are many people, when they, in terms of a house and children, get pets in order to help them learn how to care about things. Isn't that true? How to feed and take care of them, and how to teach compassion. So Nachmanides would say that is what this law is about. It's just about the human condition, having nothing to do with the emotion of animals. Rambam, on the other hand, who I always love, a generation earlier said, no, they have emotions. And we just can't do that and pain a mother bird. It's just not right. Now, by the way, there are other laws in the Torah you may know about that also talk about compassion towards animals. Can you think of any that we have? Or yeah, you go. So you can't cook a kid in its mother's milk. It's interesting, which was a pagan ritual. And by the way, does the mother really know or not? But somehow it feels offensive to us in terms of doing that to a mother and to the young at the same time. Jeff. Good. So in our portion, if you see an animal suffering, right, under the weight, you have to go help that animal. Bob. So your animals also rest on Shabbat, just like we do. Is there another one anybody has? I see another hand. Yes. I'm sorry, I can't hear you through the mask. Right. So you are supposed to, by the way, this isn't in the Torah, but by the rabbis, you're supposed to feed your animals before you sit down to eat. Isn't that an amazing law? By the way, in the portion as well, that you shall not put together an ox and a donkey to be able to plow, because it's unfair to the donkey who is right not quite up. So we have these laws that deal with compassion towards animals. And the question that we look at is in terms of what is it about animals themselves? The idea of our tradition is that we look to animals, if you will, as being the beginning of understanding about relationships. If you can't be kind to an animal, you're not going to be kind to a human being. And to understand that we need to convey it. Now, how important is this law, by the way? If you probably didn't catch it at the end of that law that I read, the verse, let the mother bird go, take only the young, in order that you may fare well and have a long life. This law is only one of 3 in which you are rewarded with a long life if you observe them. The other one of the other 2, anybody know which one of them? There's one that you might know. Honoring your parents. If you honor your parents, you shall live long upon the land. The other one, interesting enough, deals with weights and measures, having honest weights and measures. That if you can't trust business, if you can't trust commerce, you can't trust people, you have a problem. Only one of 3. This law is saying that how you treat animals will impact your own life, the life of your family, and the world at large. By the way, pet adoption. By the way, it's like you're not supposed to say pet owner anymore. You all know this? You're not supposed to say I'm a pet owner, because it turns the animal into something else. And I actually looked up, Jack, I didn't know this before, the difference between owner and adoption. There's a legal difference. Do you know this one? There's actually a legal difference. When you sign an adoption paper with an animal, you don't own it, and therefore, technically, whoever gave it to you has the right to come check on that animal and take them actually back if you don't treat that animal appropriately. It's interesting how we look at animals, how we treat them. Anyway, we're going to continue with our Torah reading.